Welcome, Antony.
Thanks, Ben.
It's great to be able to have a chat with you today about what's been happening in the lottery side of our member businesses. It's been a really good year so far. Obviously, we had a great run of jackpots earlier in the year. There's a lot of new initiatives that you've been working on, and obviously some challenges as well that we're working through. I thought I might kick off by discussing some of that good stuff. That incredible run of jackpots earlier in the year that I think all of our members were very happy about. Can you tell us a little bit about that run and the impact it had for retailers? Obviously, price changes, significant commission increases last year certainly helped a few retailers through some quieter months.
Yeah, no worries. So thanks, Ben. First of all, thanks to all the retailers out there for all the great support. We did have a cracker of a year. Powerball was the star. We had the 200 mil Powerball back in February with a 150 mil follow-up in May. So a really, really good, strong half too. I think we had a really good approach to our portfolio management, as we always do, and we accelerated the jackpot rolls, which got them through quickly to get to the 200 and the 150, which was great. And the idea of those accelerated rolls is to try and deliver bigger jackpots more often. Look, I think apart from setting new records as we did with Powerball, we had nearly 1 in 2 Australians buy an entry in that draw, which was great. And games across the rest of the portfolio benefit, and of course our retailers did as well. The last thing I'd probably mention there is we had a record year in terms of commissions, so just under $600 million paid to retailers, which was over $100 million more than last year. So what an awesome way to finish off FY24.
Fantastic. And another new initiative, obviously, is the introduction of Friday Lotto. And certainly for me, talking to our members, they're really happy with that initiative. And obviously with weekday windfall, how are those going? And have you got any tips for the members on how best to sell that new product?
Yeah, look, it's going really well. It was great to get that in last financial year. It's been a great success, and once again, thanks to everyone out there for all the support that you put into getting it up and running. I think it was very exciting having the addition of a Friday night draw come into the portfolio. I think it's not only given us some really good strong growth on Friday over and above, but Monday and Wednesday performance is lifted as well. So we're kind of about 10% ahead of our anticipated budget on that so far, which is great. I think to your second question, one of the greatest successes out of the introduction of weekday windfall is the 3-play entry. So that gives customers the ability to buy 1 ticket into each of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday night on either of the 2 price points. So that's around 15% of the portfolio sales in terms of weekday windfall already, which is great. So yeah, all things in all, very exciting.
That's terrific. I've always been a Monday, Wednesday player, so I think it's been a really good initiative.
Hope you're on Friday as well now, Ben.
Absolutely, absolutely. So another new important initiative is the enhanced sign-up process. I know you've been discussing this at your recent masterclasses. Can you tell us more about that? What's the feedback or concerns been that have come up in those roadshows, and how's it going?
Yeah, no worries. Look, that's something we're very excited about, the introduction of the digital join-up form. I think we've had a couple of light touches goes at it before. There's no question that the paper form was challenging. So I think early accounts from both customers and retailers is the process is really good, and they're really positive feedback. It's only been a few weeks, but the take-up on it's been really, really strong so far, which is good to see. And I think the important part is it makes it a little bit less of a hassle for customers. So the retailer just simply activates a link that gets sent to the mobile phone that's generated by the terminal, and then the customer does the rest by clicking on the link and filling in their details. Obviously that reduces the processing time for retailers, reduces the possibility of error with the forms getting filled out incorrectly, etc. And of course we know that cheques are being phased out by the Australian government over the next few years, so this all steps in the right direction of digitising that process. I think it's also highly worth mentioning that the omnichannel sign-up bonus is a benefit as well. So where retailers do get the customer to sign up as a result of this process, and that customer buys in the outlet and digitally, they get a sign-up bonus for that transaction, which is great. I think supporting this, hopefully retailers have noticed that we've done a lot of extra above-the-line marketing driving the membership program, which should see some strong increase in stores as well.
Terrific. And I thought, obviously, it's been a while since we caught up like this last year. I was going to maybe just get you to give a recap of the changes from last year to omni-channel online commissions and to give us an update on how things like online syndicates and are there any changes that have occurred since the launch of that product, and what's your expectation moving forward with those?
Yeah, look, it's a big question, but I think some really exciting stuff. I think, omni-channel is multifaceted. It's about making sure that we maintain the ongoing commercial viability of our retail network. It's about making sure that when customers go into any of those retail businesses, they get a consistent, solid experience. It's about really making the start in any channel, finish in any channel experience solid for customers. So I think, there was a number of changes last year that we should talk about. As I said, it's all about that seamless experience. We increased the commissions by 2%, which was the biggest increase I think ever in a single hop, which was fantastic. And we also increased our digital commission for green retailers from 2% to 4%, which strong uplift, and omni-channel sign-up bonus from 1 to 3. So that's really about encouraging retailers to get on board with the digital experience and digitisation and the omni-channel behaviour with customers, and that's been really strong. I think sitting right alongside that has been the introduction of our store syndicates online. That's been an amazing project with fantastic take-up. We've got round about 2/3 of our retail network engaged with that. We've got a lot of younger customers, digital-only customers that are engaging with those store syndicates online. So if you're a retailer and you're not doing store syndicates online, I highly recommend you join the 2/3 of the network that are. It keeps your business open 24/7. It's a great source of income, and it gets your retailer into that omni-channel space, your retail outlet. So there's training on Retailers Web available, and you can always talk to your BDM. But again, it's really about that seamless omni-channel experience.
Yeah, certainly it's been a massive change, I think, for the relationship that retailers have with digital, having a retail exclusive product that they can promote. Certainly the feedback from our members has been extremely positive to that development, so thank you. Look, with the economy still difficult, cost of living and doing business, still strained, hopefully, we'll see some green shoots maybe in the latter part of this year or next year. But do you have any insights from the data on, trends that you're seeing in terms of spending patterns or price points that are moving and that might help retailers with upselling and pitching their offers to customers over, say, the next 6 months?
Yeah, another big question, Ben.
Brought all the tough ones today.
Look, there's no question that we're in a challenging economic period. I think the results that we've generated over FY24 through our lotteries business has been fantastic, driven by those 2 large jackpots. I think lotteries has traditionally been fairly resilient. That's been proven over time, which is great. I think, as I spoke about with our diversified portfolio, we've got a whole suite of products that we can manage and activate in different ways to whether it's a high jackpot or the base week games, to make sure we're balancing that off. I think we know that customers are tightening their belts and that we've got to work harder. And I think there's definitely still evidence that people are looking to be excited, entertained, engaged, etc. So I think it's fair to say that our portfolio and our business ticks all of those boxes. So the key for us and the key for you out there as retailers is to make sure that you really are working hard with the customers to engage them, provide great service. I think one of the focuses we've got with our BDM team is just trying to grow that transaction by $1, whatever that is. Is it a scratch it? Is it a greeting card? Is it another quick pick? It doesn't matter. I think you've got to ask the question. You've got to recognise what sort of customer you've got in front of you, what you think they might like, and just simply ask the question, did you know it's 40 mil tonight? It can be as simple as that, and you've got a 50% chance of getting the answer you want, which is yes, I'd love a ticket. So I think that's really important. Customers, the research really highlights that it's about that experience and really feeling connected to that business. Otherwise, why would you bother? You just simply go digital, and they're demonstrating they don't want to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing with lotteries. I mean, it has traditionally been sort of counter-cyclical in some downtimes. It is usually fairly robust. but it doesn't work on cruise control, right? In that retail environment, you've really got to step up and make sure that you make that difference for that customer and make that experience terrific.
Absolutely.
And so we've got that opportunity. We've got the tools to do that, and so I think it's incumbent on all of us to make that extra effort to do that, particularly over the next 6-12 months, when I think it's really going to make a difference.
And I think, Ben, you and I spent some time at the National Retail Federation Conference in Singapore a couple of months ago, and again that message resonates right around the Asia region. It's about experience, giving customers a reason to get out of bed and go somewhere, and they're more than prepared to do that no matter what the economic conditions are like.
100%.
And that's the ones that they'll seek out, so that's critical.
Yep, absolutely. Now, I thought I might move on to something a little bit more serious now. But there is lots of positivity in the network and lots of good things that we're working on. But recently, you've sent out some important notifications to retailers, reminding them of their obligations under their agreements. And last week, I met with the Victorian Gambling Commission CEO, and when I was in Melbourne, we discussed the Commission's priorities as the regulator in Victoria for lotteries, and I think these are applicable across Australia. She highlighted to me that ensuring there was no credit betting was their highest priority in the lottery space. And ALNA sent an article to members last week highlighting this insight and how important it is to really get that right. And so I thought today was a great opportunity if you could maybe just take us through the steps with credit betting and how retailers can ensure that they and their staff never run the risk of that occurring in their stores. Collectively, it's really important that we ensure as an industry that we maintain that really strong reputation that we have, both with the consumer and with regulators. And the last thing we want is anybody being made an example of.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Ben. Look, I think first and foremost, we recognise that the majority of our retailers out there are doing the right thing, making sure that they're adhering to what they're required to do under the franchise agreement and what the operating procedure manual says. And they're guidelines and frameworks that we need to have around the business to make sure that it does have at the highest level of integrity and that the customers have absolute trust in the product. Because the minute the trust starts to dissipate from a lottery's product, that's when the business really starts to find itself getting into trouble. It's also vital that the product remains fun. At the end of the day, it is a fun product. It gives you the ability to buy a ticket and dream about what you could do with the win, whatever that might be, small or big. We also know that, as you mentioned, Ben, there's governments that have got a really keen interest, and there's things going on in other areas of the gambling sector that probably aren't as conducive to the way we operate our ecosystem. And that's why we need to make sure that our compliance regimes are absolutely spot on and unquestionable. So, Ben, as you said, we need to make sure that the practices of credit betting are wiped out. We just can't have them in place. To do that, there's 4 key things that retailers need to make sure that they're doing or not doing. So you need to make sure that you're not printing a ticket when the customer's not in the store. It's very clear in the lottery's rules what is required, and it is required the customer's right in front of you when you do that. You need to ensure that you give the customer the ticket when they purchase the ticket. So not only have they got to be in store, you've got to provide them with that ticket at that point in time. You've got to make sure that you take the payment for that ticket at that point in time, where the customer's in the store in front of you, and it's got to be prior to the draw. And most importantly, you've got to make sure you're not retaining customer player cards in the store for the purpose of registering their entries or their card details or any other personalised information, because that's a problem with not only the lottery's rules but personal information privacy laws as well. So if you can please make sure that those practices aren't occurring in your store, that would be great. It's absolutely essential to make sure that we keep that compliance and integrity in place. We do operate in a highly regulated environment, as I've said, and the consequences of non-compliant activity are high, and that's both for us as the lot and for you as retailers. To date, we have investigated and confirmed a number of these practices, and many of these instances have led to retailers being breached, risking penalties for the retailer and ourselves, whether it be the omni-channel program for retailers or fines from regulators. And it also puts your business at risk of termination depending on the size of the problem. So if you can please make sure that you're across it, there's heaps of information on Retailers Web, the APM, and of course your business development manager is always available to help.
No, it's terrific, and I know we've worked with a couple of members over the last 12 months or so that have found themselves in that situation, and I know, maybe they've thought that they're giving that extra bit of customer service to someone, but actually in reality it's a disservice to that customer. And so it's really, really important that our members really understand this is an issue. Obviously the regulator's flagged it with us. It's something that she's looking at very carefully, and I know other regulators will be watching that as well. So please understand it, train your staff, and make sure that we can, keep that wonderful reputation that lotteries have.
And I think just on the back of that, Ben, it's also important that you get the regularity of the customer coming back into your outlet, because when they come back to check their ticket, you can get the winnings reinvested. There's other products in your outlet that are on offer. So it's about that ritual rather than just having them on autopilot. So there's other really good benefits of playing by the rules as well.
Absolutely. And I think I might move on to another serious legal and regulatory compliance matter. The lot recently highlighted to retailers that with the heightened media scrutiny surrounding the quite rampant illegal sales of illicit vapes and illicit tobacco that's been occurring around the country, that they must be very careful if asked to comment by the media about those topics, and that any lottery retailers found to be engaging in illicit sale of vapes or tobacco products, that potentially they're in breach of their franchise agreement and may risk termination. Look, for us, that's been a major issue we've been working on for a number of years, and this was a very helpful communication I found. Can you tell us a little bit about what retailers should do if they're contacted by the media about that subject, and how retailers can avoid breaching their agreement?
Yeah, no worries. Look, I think, as you said, Ben, this is simply a case of making sure that everybody's playing by the law. There's tobacco and vaping laws in place, and we need to make sure that all of the franchisees in the network are adhering to those for the trust and integrity. I think, as you've said, there's a growing number of issues in the media, and we want to make sure that we don't get dragged into that brings our ecosystem into disrepute, which reflects on all of the retail network and the business, and of course there's hefty fines involved. I think to your question about if you are approached by the media, you either contact your business development manager or the contact centre for advice and make no comment until you get some advice from them. I think if you do that in any case, that's the best outcome.
Terrific. Thank you for that. Now, last year when we spoke, we talked about some of the high-level key priorities or initiatives that were on the horizon for the lot at the time around lottery games, retail infrastructure, the experience in store. I know new terminals have been a top priority for the lot, and I know our members are eager for an update on new faster terminals. Can you tell us a little bit about where that project's at, when they might expect some movement on it, or to hear about new initiatives coming up?
Yeah, no worries. So new terminals are well progressed. We're just getting to the business end of developing and the software, and over the next month or two, bar nothing going off the rails, it'll go off to the regulator, and we're hoping to start rolling out new terminals in the lotteries network early in 2025.
Great.
Once that's up and running and tested, then we'll take it from there around the rest of the business. I think in terms of your second part of the question about initiatives, the terminals will replace the functionality of what the existing ones are now, but it'll be a slicker experience, for example, the touch screens. But it'll give us the ability to take things like the digital enabled retail membership program to the next level and start to get some extra functionality in there, among other things. So our first priority is it's a really big and complex job to replicate the software. Then we'll start to build on top of that, which should be able to bring things to market a lot more quickly, but it'll be focused around omni-channel.
Fantastic. No, I know everybody's going to be really excited, I think, to see that coming through, and obviously there's going to be a little bit of, working through the changes for everybody, but I think when I've seen that happen in the past, people have, adapted to new things fairly quickly. The next question I was going to ask you was around, obviously we work very closely with you and our other suppliers around the ALNA industry think tank, and we appreciate the support that the lot kindly provides to support that initiative. You've led quite a few of the initiatives in that format, including our newest initiative, which we're calling Retail Reboot, where we're aiming to assist some retailers with low cost, no cost help to reboot their approach to retail fundamentals and to record and share our learnings and even record and share our mistakes as we go through that process, which I think is also really important, so that members can sort of see, some things that are being tried to, develop new initiatives in their business. You come from an exhaustive retail background, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity really to talk about your background, what makes you so passionate about retail, because you are very passionate about retail, and can you tell the members a little bit more about how to sustain that passion? Because I think we've touched on a few times about where the economy's at the moment, and it can get fairly exhausting being in small business. We've seen a lot of data come out in the last week about small businesses. It's been made tough, and it is tough out there, and so sustaining that fight to be competitive with some of those larger retailers, what motivates you?
Yeah, again, another pretty detailed question. Look, retail is just such an amazing industry, and I think at the end of the day, we're there to provide a great experience to customers and subliminally convince them to buy as much as they can on our outlet rather than someone else's, and be really satisfied with that product and experience. So I think, over the years, it's more than putting products on shelves with a price in front of it. I mean, that might have been true 30 odd years ago, but now it's really about having the right experience in place. It's about having the right thinking about it from a customer perspective. And I often remembered when I started way back years ago in Big W in apparel, you could have a top and a bottom in the women's wear department, but if you didn't have a full size range there, you actually had a product there that a customer didn't come in to buy, saw it, liked it, wanted to buy it, and then couldn't because you didn't have the full range there. So you actually turned a customer who was indifferent into probably a detractor without even talking to them, because it wasn't customer led. So I think having a real thirst for the contest in terms of that passion for customer excellence, whether it's when you're selling them the lottery ticket, good luck. I bought a ticket from an outlet the other day, and they rubbed the ticket on the lucky cat on the counter and said good luck. Again, it was just a great experience. It's those little 1%ers, and they just make you want to go back. It's pretty easy to start to feel like the walls are closing in, because certainly in retail we know that costs have gone up, etc., etc. We've had COVID and everything else, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of businesses in small business in retail that are doing very well, because they're actually just changing things a little bit to make it better for the customer. And they can just be 1%ers. It could be just saying, okay, well, my customers are starting to buy more toys, so I'll provide more toys in the outlet and less of something else. It could be the fact, little simple things like making sure you don't have the same thing on the front gondola end this week that you did last week, so when the customer walking past the supermarket sees a different product and it entices them to come in. They're all little tiny things, but they make a huge difference. But I think by, a wise manager of mine years ago said, don't start looking at your shop from the back of the store, start where the customer walks in from the front. And I think little things like that are really helpful, because it is easy to get store blind and complacent about things. So I think for anyone who's seen the fish market, the Seattle fish market video, you talk to all the customers like they're the only customer you've spoken to that day, because the customer before them didn't know the conversation that you just had 5 minutes ago. They weren't there to hear it. So it might be monotonous for us talking to customers, but it keeps it exciting for them.
And I think that's exactly right. It's bringing the human and the humour to every interaction, and it's like you get what you give. And so often I find in retail, when I'm dealing with people that are serving me, when they've got that little bit of bounce in them, and that they want to engage and are interested in asking you questions about what's been happening, you inevitably go away feeling fantastic about that experience and wanting to go back. So I think that's a lovely place for us to leave it. Thank you again for your time. I know I gave you some very detailed questions today, Antony, which you've answered beautifully. And thank you to our audience. We really appreciate you making the time to engage with our content, and we look forward to doing this with you again.
No worries. Thanks, Ben. Thanks to all the retailers out there.
Thank you, everyone.